Hello students, welcome to metacognitive learning. Let's learn together. Hello students, so today we are going to talk about the difference between metals and non-metals based on their physical properties. Okay, so you all know what are basically metals, what are basically non-metals. So some of the common metals are gold, silver, copper, magnesium. They are some of the common metals, whereas some of the common non-metals are oxygen, hydrogen, bromine, chlorine, fluorine. All these are like basically non-metals. Okay, so with respect to the state of their availability, right? So metals are basically solids in room temperature. Most of the metals are available in solid, with only one exception, mercury. Mercury is going to be the only liquid metal that is going to be available at room temperature. And with respect to non-metals, non-metals basically available in all state, primarily in gaseous state, but it is also available in all three states. And with respect to the luster nature, so luster is all about how shining an item is all about, right? So you all know that metals are basically shining in nature. You can see all metals like gold, silver, copper, they are basically having a shining capability. So metals have a shining surface and non-metals do not have a shining surface. The only exception is going to be iodine. So iodine is the only non-metal which is lustrous in nature. And with respect to the conductivity, we all know metals are great conductors of electricity and heat. That's the reason we are using copper primarily for all our electric wires, etc. Non-metals are poor conductors of heat and electricity. One exception is graphite. So graphite is a form of carbon. It's an allotrophic form of carbon, which is basically a good conductor of electricity, which is a non-metal. And with respect to the density, obviously metals have a high density compared to non-metals. The density of all non-metals are basically low. And hardness, metals are generally very hard compared to the non-metals. There are few exceptions like the alkali metals like potassium and calcium, or some of, not calcium, like potassium and sodium, or some of the alkali metals which are basically soft, you can easily cut them with a knife. Whereas non-metals are usually soft, and diamond is a exceptional category where the non-metal, this is again, diamond is another allotrophic form of carbon. So even though it is a non-metal, it is very strongest substance in the world. You cannot melt them, you just need to cut them. So it is that much strong. So that is the exception with respect to the property of hardness for non-metal. And sonorous is the ability to make sound. So you can see all metals, right? They have the ability to make sound. So they are sonorous in nature, whereas non-metals are non-sonorous in nature. They do not make any sound. Malleability and ductile ability. So malleability is a property where you can able to make that metal into a thin sheets. So if you look at a food industry, right, we are using a lot of aluminum foils. Aluminum thing is also used in silver, is also used in sweets. So where you can able to make that metal as thin as possible in terms of sheets. And again, ductility is a property where you can make them into wires. So we are using copper. Copper metal is drawn into a thin wires. And again, gold, even though there is a small gram of gold, you can make a big chain. It is all because of this ductile property. And non-metals are generally not malleable and ductile. And with respect to the melting point and the boiling point, yeah, because of that hardness, metals are basically having a high melting and boiling point, and non-metals do not have that high melting and boiling point. So these are the category in terms of metals and non-metals categorized based on their physical properties.